And welcome back, everyone. It's time. I promised you more Pokemon content, and I deliver more Pokemon content. This is an idea that I had going back maybe about a month or two now ago, maybe a little bit longer, where every once in a while, I just start doing random things, doing like random verses in my head. And I realized, and I YouTubed, and I think I've seen some minor takes on this, but I haven't really seen a full series on it. So I figured, screw it, why not? Let's talk about it. The strongest gym leaders, but specifically with all the gym leaders that exist out there, and we have now 9 generations of gym leaders. Technically, we only got 8 generations because Generation 7 didn't do gyms. But the whole idea is, what are the strongest gym leaders of each level you face? Who is the strongest first gym leader you face? Who is the strongest 7th, 6th, 8th, all of those. And so I thought that as a fun concept to do. So what I decided to do is literally write down every single gym leader in every single order they show up with their strongest version of their team that I deduced, and I pitted them against each other. And basically the gym leader who ultimately so this is not who is the strongest gym leader you're personally fighting. No, this is the strongest gym leader out of the group. If they were to all fight each other, who is going to win the majority of times out of however many times they duke it out? So, conditions and rules before we get into this any further. 1, I am using the team the gym leader has when you face them in the game, in their game. What do I mean by that? It's got to be the team they have when you face them to get the badge they have in their own game. What I mean by that is, for example, in Gold and Silver, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, you can go and face the Kanto gym leaders after the main story. But they're first off not part of the main story. It's not their region. The region is Johto. The Johto gym leaders are who you are fighting in those games. And B, if I did include the Kanto gym leaders, they would rank basically near the top of the list on every category. So that just isn't fair right out the gate. Also, to determine which team was the strongest, I looked at every game's interpretation of the teams, and I looked at them and I thought, okay, who's got level, the amount of Pokemon they have on the team, and the moves they have. Now that, admittedly, is a bit of a subjective opinion. Who I think strongest team doesn't necessarily match the strongest team. Last but not least, with gimmicks and sequel games. There's only really one sequel game, and that's Black and White. Now, but we know for a fact that there are different gym leaders in Black and White too. So I did include them when factoring in the gym leaders. But 2 gimmicks. We're not including gimmicks. It's all on a neutral playing field here. So Dynamax, which every gym leader is capable of doing, is not going to be used. Mega Evolution, which, to be fair, none of the Kalos gym leaders actually used it, so it's kind of irrelevant. So that's not going to be used. Terrestrialization will also not be used. Those are your 3. And Z moves technically doesn't matter in this case. At least when it comes to the gym leaders. If this series continues on, I'm going to at least do it for the first 8 gym leaders. But if this series continues on, people like it, I will continue on up for the Elite Four, which admittedly I've done the Elite Four, written the Elite Four out, and written the champions out. I'll do it for the Elite Four, the champions, and then maybe I'll go even further, do it for evil team leaders. I did that once and know who would win. This time around, I think I would go about it differently and probably actually do it the way I'm doing it here. But yeah, I'll do rivals, I'll do evil team leaders, I'll do other characters as well. But yeah, that's the stipulation. So with all that being said now, let's get into it. So, coming in at the 11 gym leaders, first and foremost, we have, and I just realized I forgot an image, but I will make sure to add that image before it's all said and done. Because I don't want to really restart this if I don't have to. Coming in at number 1 for the weakest gym leader, or number 11, I should say. Number 11. For the weakest gym leader, we have Viola. Viola, unfortunately, has the very, very, very piss poor luck of having one of the worst teams in the entire game franchise. For Viola's team, as you see here, is composed of and I'm going to expand that a little bit so you can all see it a bit better. It's composed of a Vivillon and a Surskit, none of which have more than 3 damn moves, and furthermore are level 10 and level 12. When it came to levels, literally the only individual whose team ranked lower than hers was Falkner's level 9 and level 13 Pidgeotto, and even then the Pidgeotto was still higher. So but still, when you really break it down, when you break it down, Viola still has a Surskit with Bubble, Water Sport, Quick Attack, and a dual for first gym leader, a dual typed bug type with Infestation, Tackle, and Harden. Is there any way she could have won this fight? Well, the unfortunate answer here is no, because if we quickly go through everyone real quick here, we have Brock, whose strongest team I considered to be his Leaf Green and Fire Red and Leaf Green team. That was the strongest team I considered to have, because his Onix is level 14 with Rock Tomb. We know Bug type is weak to Rock, so it makes perfect sense that her team's going to get wrecked there. The hard one to figure out, though, was Falkner with his Pidgey and Pidgeotto. Because it's true, Pidgey's got less attack less full level. He's a lower level than the Surskit. But because it's got a type resistance thanks to flying, but water's going to be neutral. Even if the Surskit did manage to take down the Pidgey, the Pidgeotto, despite being only level 13, is a second evolutionary a Pokemon that's second in its evolutionary line to a full 3-stage evolution with flying type moves, including Gust. So even at level 13, it's still going to be able to take down that Surskit and do a lot of damage to the Vivillon. Now the Vivillon is level 12 and can learn Harden, but that's kind of a moot point because Pidgeotto can just spam Gust. Even with Infestation, Pidgeotto also has Roost, which means anytime its life points are getting life points, anytime it's been playing a little too much Duel Masters lately, anytime its HP is getting too low, it can just Roost and get up there. So Falkner would be able to overwhelm Viola. And then if you just go through the rest of the group here, it's a clean sweep because you have another rock type weakness with Geodude and Nosepass with Roxanne. Sinnoh's Rorik's team, whose strongest I believe is BDSB team. We'll talk about that a little later. That's completely, no pun intended, because of the bulldoze that Cranidos has, but it's completely going to bulldoze over a bug team on a lesser level. Then, of course, you have Gen 5, which has literally 3 starting gym leaders depending on the type you choose. And yes, I did individually do all 3 of these guys, because even though their elemental monkeys have 3 out of 4 of the same moves, that individual move changes up how their interactions work. Then you get into Gen 5 again. Charon's team in challenge mode is the team we went with here, or I went with, due to the fact that it is a choice you can make, and that is the stronger of the 2 teams. So challenge mode Charon still is able to overtake both the Vivillon and Surskit without too much difficulty. Then of course you have Gen 8 with Milo, who's, even though the grass is weak to bug, the level difference is insane. And we are keeping them at the levels. We're not just evening out the playing field, because I think that's just silly. This is like, think the scenario we're using here as, what if the gym leaders in-game came together and had kind of like a whole tournament to find out who was the best. And then even though technically in Paldea you can do the gyms in any order, if you actually look at how it's displayed on Cerebi, the first gym, the weakest gym, is technically the bug gym. And even then, her bugs completely outclass Viola's bugs because they're just higher level, even with only 2 attacks to each of them. Her bugs and her normal Teddiursa will completely trounce the Vivillon and the Surskit. The only Mon or the only gym leader she beat. And it was honestly, when I really broke it down by the skin of her teeth, was was Cress. Not even, was Cess, or Cress. Now, and I did write Cress, right? I'm just double checking that because for some reason Cress is not the one I think I was supposed to write here. But, because, Sicilian loses to Viola. Now, why do I think he loses to Viola? 1 second here. Sorry, I think I might have, did I really screw something up after all these weeks holding on to this? Okay, yeah, I did make a mistake, but it doesn't change the order really at all. Actually, it does, but I'll know where to swap them out. So, yeah, so actually, it's Cilan. It's Cilan she beats because of the grass weakness. Pampor, I must have mixed them up because they all begin with C. It was very easy to mix them up. So, admittedly, Cilan is the one she beats, and that's simply due to the fact that the Lilip is probably not going to be able to do much because the only attacking move it has is Bite. Bug is strong against dark types, and therefore, even though Lilip is 2 levels higher, the Surskit, having both Quick Attack and Bubble, is probably going to be able to beat it. And even if the Pan Sage comes in with Fury Swipes or Lick, whatever, that still brings in the Vivillon, who can bring in the Infestation and then knock Cilan out. So that was the only individual that, unfortunately, Viola was able to beat. So, unfortunately, Viola does come in at number 2. Or number 11. I keep saying number 2. Or number 1. Number 11. All right. Moving on. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Falkner. Now, Falkner, it sounds like I'm saying something else. Falkner, unfortunately, just did not do any better because the only person he beat, it was actually a tie. Here's the problem. It was a tie for the 11th and 10th spot because Falkner got curb stomped by everyone else. And unfortunately, you're going to see a little pattern later in this series when it comes to the Johto gym leaders. Johto is a very under-leveled region. Pidgey, he's the only gym leader, period, that has a single level Pokemon. Not a double level. I mean, obviously, most Pokemon are double level, but literally just a 1-digit level Pokemon. And it only knows Sand Attack and Tackle. Which means, and the only individual I thought he could beat was Viola. So 1 second here. Yeah, Falkner, there you are. I did get your image up there. So, unfortunately, yeah, when you go against the rock type gym leaders, he's completely effed. When you go against any of the elemental monkey gym leaders, they're already at level 12 to 14, so even their weakest mons, their Lillipuffs, can still dish out enough damage to take out the Pidgey without difficulty, and then take a lot of chunk out of the Pidgeotto, even if you include the Roost. So then you can Fury Swipes, Lick, which could paralyze it. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to beat them at all. Then you include Charon, who's already, Charon, who's already got Mon at least equal, if not greater than the Pidgey, and his Lilip, which is his ace in this case, has a higher level and has better overall attacks. It can work up and then bite. Then you get into the last two with, again, Katie and Milo. Level-wise, they're just going to curb stomp them. Even with a type advantage, it doesn't matter because there just isn't enough of there's too much of a gap versatility-wise and level-wise and stat-wise. So unfortunately for Falkner, I keep saying Falkner. Falkner's the 8th gym leader for Sinnoh. So unfortunately, he did not make it past the 11th spot. But coming in at number 9, we have our first elemental monkey leader in Chili. Now, Chili didn't do anywhere near as bad as they did. But when I really squared it up, he really only got 3 wins. His the first 3 gym leaders, again, because he's got a fire type monkey, completely took him down. Like they completely owned him. So yeah, like Brock again completely owned him. Roxanne, Rourke, they just completely dominated him. Also, Charon dominated him. As a gym leader, he beat all 3 of the elemental monkey leaders. Spoilers on that. They all lost to him. Then you had Viola, who he did beat because he has the fire advantage over both these guys. Even though Surskit is a water bug type, it still would be fall victim either to the, if it doesn't fall victim to the Lip, it would get seriously hurt by the Lip and then quickly taken down by the Panseer with just a Fury Swipe alone. So there was that. Then we have, let's see here. Then we have, and I'm just, okay, yep. Okay, he did, actually, I'm amazed. Even though I screwed it up, I still got the order right, so I'm all good here. But then we had Milo. He can't beat Milo. Even with a Panseer, just having Rapid Spin alone or round on that Glossopore at level 19 completely eclipses him on that. And then he still got to then deal with the Eldegoss. Finally, we had Katie. Now, this one was interesting. This one, I think, is a little bit more up in the air in terms of who Katie would, who would have actually won, because Lilip would most likely get taken down pretty quick thanks to that double kick, but the Panseer would actually pose a bit of a problem for most of the team. Granted, the Nimble is most likely faster, almost certainly faster, so it's going to get a hit or two in, but it is going to go down pretty quick to, I believe, the attacks that Chili's Panseer knows is it Ember? I want to say it's Ember, right? Or is it, where are you? Where the Chili, Helping Hand, Work Up, Panseer, what's that darn attack? For some reason, I thought I wrote it down and I didn't. Let's say it's Incinerate, which is a lot stronger than Ember. So it's going to probably take down the first 2 bug Pokemon while still taking a lot of damage. It's when the Teddiursa comes in. Being, admittedly, just a level higher isn't going to mean much. But what it does mean is unfortunately for the Panseer, which will have taken some damage at this point, is that once the Fury Swipes come in, and Teddiursa just honestly has a superior attack stat, not by much, but still superior, it's going to come in and take the win on that. So, yeah, Chili didn't get past the 8th spot in there, or sorry, the 9th spot in this. But still, Chili did far better than the rest, just not as good as the rest of his brothers. But speaking of those who did not do as well as the best, coming in at number one. In 1 second, I'm just preparing a little something here. Coming in at number 8, we got the big man himself, the OG Brock. Now, Brock had a bit of a problem as well. He beat Chili, he beat Falkner, he beat Viola. Great. And he's got, honestly, not a bad team for Fire Red and Leaf Green. His Geodude knows Tackle, Defense Curl. It has Rockhead as an ability. His Onix has Rock Tomb, Tackle, Bind, and Harden. Honestly, all solid moves for a first stage Rock Leader. The problem just simply comes down to the fact that outside of everyone else he fights, or all the wins he's gotten so far, which would have been, again, Falkner, Chili, and Viola, he simply gets outclassed in his own game by everyone else. Because by the other 3 Rock Gym leaders, Rustbeer City's Roxanne and Orenburg City's Rourke, they both have Pokemon of same, equal, or greater level with better move pools. That's simply it. Then you get into the other, the 3 elemental monkey gym leaders. The other 2 have a legit type advantage over his rock type, water and grass respectively. So even though the Lilip is not going to be lasting long, the elemental monkeys, because they also know Work Up, are going to very, very much take him to the bank. Now, Charon was an odd one, because even though Charon is a normal type leader, Rock is not actually strong against normal. It's neutral. It's kind of a common misconception in many ways. But what they do have is, they're still about the same level, but he's got an extra Mon on his team. By the way, I'm not including items, by the way, so the Oranberry doesn't count. But they also all have better abilities than the Onix and better abilities, and still have attacks that can hurt them. Because Bite is not a normal attack. Bite is a dark type attack, which means it can do better damage than something like a tackle can. You add on the fact that he can use detect and workup, that Patrat may very well take down the Geodude before Onix comes out. And then you still have to deal with the fact that Lilip, his ace, which is at least equal to Brock's Onix, is still able to use workup and bite as well. So difficult as it would be, I still would give this win to Charon. Although this one was a close one. This one was definitely a close one. And of course, then if we go into the other gyms as well, you have, he still beats Viola, like I said. Milo's going to completely just overrun him, just with sheer level and type advantage. And then Katie was one where I'm thinking, with any of the rock type gym leaders, I'm like, they could probably cleave through a team, except for the fact that nimble nose double kick. And the fact that nimble nose double kick, and the only rock type move that any of Brock's Pokemon know is Rock Tomb, and that's his ace Pokemon, means she's taking down the Geodude. And she's getting at least a hit in with the double kick on that Onix, which then sets it up for an Assure, which is a dark type move, and then Teddy Ursa coming in, probably finishing it off. So ultimately, Brock only managed to make it to number 8, but still, good for Brock, because, Brock, who doesn't love Brock? Brock's the man. Then coming in at number, oh thank God I didn't erase it. One, I didn't mean to erase, at least I'm pretty sure I didn't. We'll find out. Then coming in at number 7, we had Cilan. Now, Cilan did better, but it wasn't by much, because he beats Brock, he beats Falkner, he beats his brother Cress, and I had him beating one more individual, but I think that was Viola, because honestly, was it Roxanne I think I had him beat? Was that what it was? I think that might have been what it was. I'm now really looking that I kind of screwed up the numbering here just a little bit. But yeah, the ordering just a little bit. But either way, I think it was Roxanne he beated. And it simply came down to the fact that, and honestly, now I'm looking at it, might not have been Roxanne. I think he only got a score of 3. Everyone so far has only gotten a score of 3. I apologize. The next video, which will have a lot less gym leaders to it, a whole 2, which you don't think sounds like a lot, it's a lot. Will be a bit more organized than this. But, Cilan has, once again, problem with typing. And it's not in the way you think. It's simply the fact that he has strong type against someone like Roxanne, like Rorik. He's got strong typing against them. He just doesn't have the moves or the level, really. If you compare his strongest team, which is simply this one right here, simply the Pansage and the Lilip, that is not a lot to work with. So he can definitely beat Brock. He's got the level to compete with him. And he can definitely beat Falkner and Viola, because, again, he's just out-leveling them at this point. But despite his type, he just can't match up to these stronger teams, really. Even though, say, like, Pansage is stronger than two of the 3 Pokemon on Rorik's team, that Cranidos is going to just cleave that SOB, because Geodude and Onix aren't just rock types, they're ground types. They have a quad weakness to water and grass. That's double weakness means that Cranidos is going to live for a little while, and it's going to bulldoze over, just simply headbutt Pansage into oblivion. Then you get the Charon, which it's the same issue for all the other elemental monkey leaders. They just can't compete. Then you get into Milo. Again, it's a simple level gap. And then you get into type disadvantage and level gap put together with Katie. So unfortunately, yeah, Cilan just couldn't keep up in that regard either. But he still managed to make it to number 7, which I found pretty impressive, all things considered. Which brings us down to number 6, Roxanne. She doesn't want to put on the red light, folks. Roxanne is where we actually did start to see a little bit of a jump in how well these individuals were doing. Because Roxanne straight up beat Brock, because she just simply has a better version of Brock's team. She beat Brock. She beat Falkner. She beat Chili. She beat Chili. Where is he? There he is. Chili. There he is. Chili. She beat Sharon. Now, she beat Sharon because even though Lillip is, his team most likely can handle Brock, I don't see it handling her team as well. That Nose Pass's defense are extremely good. Add on the fact that both these Mon have Sturdy as their defense, and both actually have Rock Tomb under their belt as well, means Sharon's team is not going to have anywhere near an as easy time as it did with Brock's team, whereas only the Onyx had Rock Tomb. Should know that her strongest team I liken to her just her Ruby and their straight Ruby and Sapphire. I actually think it's a better team than the Emerald team, believe it or not. Just because I think even though there was an extra Geodude on that team, they traded off some attacks with the Nose Pass, and I think it just hurt it. Add on to the fact, too, he has a Pidove that is actually legit weak to Rock, and you have a making for a team that's going to get cleaved. And as always, Viola. She beat Viola. The only leaders that actually did beat her were Rourke, who, again, same thing we said to Brock, just has a better version of her team. Add on the fact they also know her Cranidos has a ground type move, which is strong against Rock, means that she is in trouble because Cranidos has a very superior attack stat. Then we have Crest. Now there was a reason if I remember correctly, there is a reason I thought that Crest with his Panpour would win over over Cilan with his Pansage. And if I remember correctly what it was, I think it has to do with think words here. I think it simply has to do with actually, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I can't remember why I thought Cilan would lose, but Crest would win. I actually legitimately can't remember why I thought that. I do think, though, that he would beat her simply because the water type move alone. The Lilip will probably succeed in getting through the Geodude, or at the very least, the Panpour would get through there. I'm just wondering, would I have to change my list here and change the placing? I don't think I would. I still don't think I would. But yeah, the Panpour would beat out think words here. Would beat out most of her rock type, if not all of her rock types. Then you would get to, and who do they have left here that beat her? Milo again, type and level, very simple. And this one is level and attack, because the double kick on that Nimble, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, does counteract Sturdy because you're hitting twice, so it's counting as 2 attacks. And it's going to outspeed both Geodude and Nose Pass by a large margin. And so even when that Nimble goes down, the Tarantula and the Teddiursa are going to be able to come in and sweep the rest of it up. So Roxanne came in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, the strongest of the Elemental Monkey Gym leaders is Cress. Cress had all the victories that we've spoken of up until this point. He beats Viola, he beats Roxanne, he beats Brock, he beats Falkner, and he beats Chili. He loses the Crest, because this is, sorry, I just cracked my toe a little bit. Oh, it feels nice now, but he loses the Crest just strictly on type advantage. He loses to Rorik due to level and extra mod, and again, Cranidos' attack stats are, for that level, is actually really high. So he doesn't even have to use a type advantage move, because he doesn't have any. He can just simply Leer or Headbutt, and it's not going to go down in just one hit. And plus, Onyx has Sturdy, so it's going to be able to survive a Water Gun from a Panpour, which means it's going to be able to use either Stealth Rock or Rock Throw. Most likely Rock Throw. And even if that's not the case, even say if the Lillipup comes in first, Onyx can then set up Stealth Rock, which is going to injure the Panpour on the entry, and then the Headbutt's going to come in and completely take him down. And then you have, again, just a huge level gap and a type advantage against the Panpour. And then you have higher levels. This time, no advantages in terms of typing. So, unfortunately, 3 Mon, all higher levels, equal or greater than your ace. yeah, they're going to take down the Panpour. So Cress was the strongest, in my opinion, of the 3 elemental monkey leaders. So he came in at number 5. Coming in now at number 4, we have Charon, the rival turned teacher. Charon is where we really start to see a pickup because, again, he beats Brock, he beats Chili, he beats Cress, he beats Falkner, he beats Cilan, and he beats Viola. Basically, that's really where it all came down to because we're in the final 4 now, and we've basically gone over this multiple times at this point. The only ones he lost to was Rorik. Whoop, wrong one. Rorik, just due to simple fact that he has a bad type matchup. Normal type moves aren't going to do much against this guy, and he's got a stronger team than Charon does, just straight out. So he is going to, again, no pun intended, bulldoze over Charon's team. Type advantage, not type advantage, type neutrality, but full on 5 to 6 levels higher. It's too much of a gap. It really is. And then no type advantage, but again, equal or slightly higher levels. One of them has a fighting type move that's literally going to cleave through half the team. Even if you say, hey, he brings in Pit Up to counter that, you can switch out. So there's the problem Charon faces. Still, coming in as what I think the 4th strongest gym leader is impressive. No doubt about it. But then we got the bronze medal. Coming in at the bronze is Katie. Now, Katie is a interesting little scenario here because Katie had a very good run for a while. It just simply came down to the fact that the only 2 individuals she could not beat, outright, were Rorik because of type advantage, even though the Nimble has double kick. The Nimble's going to go down before it's ever going to be able to take out the entire team. I imagine it goes down right around the Onyx. And that, unfortunately, is a big problem for the rest of the team, that they don't have an answer to deal with high or comparable level Pokemon. Even though the levels are lower, Rorik having, again, that Craniodose, I keep bringing that up, but that Craniodose is a powerful Pokemon to have early in that game, even if it is just the first stage. And unfortunately, none of the other Mon have an attack that are going to be super effective against it. So you're either going to be neutral or resisted the entire time, particularly that Teddiursa. This is where that Teddiursa, despite being relatively capable, comes in because it does have Fury Cutter and Fury Swipes. But this is where taking out the gimmick is important, because if you give it the gimmick, it then gets stabbed Fury Cutter, which still wouldn't do much against a rock type, but would still be more useful than anything else. Without that, the only thing you really have to help you out is a Tarantula with Assurance, and that's really not going to do anything. And then, of course, there's our old friend Milo here, who again just is so higher level than Katie. Now, this was one though where I thought it could go to Katie, because even though he is higher level by a lot, you would think that the type advantage could be advantageous there, but unfortunately, you just add a rapid spin on a level 5 level higher Pokemon, and then you go into round with like a 6 level higher Pokemon, or just keep doing round, and eventually they're just going to wipe the floor with all the Mon on the team. It's just, there's too much of a gap, which ironically leads us into the final 2. And unfortunately, if you've been paying attention, I think you'll know who number 1 and number 2 are. Number 2, the silver medal, strongest first gym leader you face, in my opinion, is Rorik and his BDSP team. He cleaves through every other team member, or every other gym leader, without any real difficulty. Well, maybe some difficulty on some, but no difficulty on others. Without any real difficulty, I'll save for Milo. And honestly, if you were really thinking on how I designed this, it was going to be Milo from the get. Milo is the strongest first gym leader you face, simply on the grounds that his Pokemon, he's the only first gym leader, if you're going in order in Paldea, to have Pokemon in the high teens or 20s. That's kind of insane. Now, granted, in context of that game, it's really not all that insane. But in context of this, yeah, he is the strongest gym leader, bar none. And so, that gives, and so if I can get the image I want to get here, because I did make an image, and I will continue to make these images every time. I just forgot to. I'm checking everything I have here. I mean, like, am I done? Am I good? No. And so there you have the order of gym leaders. You have Viola as the weakest, Falkner coming in second, Chili at number 9. Number 8 goes to Brock. Number 7 goes to Cilan. Number 6 goes to Roxanne. Number 5 goes to Crest. 4 goes to Sharon. Bronze medal goes to Katie. Silver medal goes to Rourke. And coming in at number 1 is Milo. But this is just my opinion. What do you think? My opinion based on the research I did. If I have fucked up some serious research, let me know. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you for the next one. I'm thinking similar to the, unlike, say, the Q&A, I think I might do this just like once a month. Or if I feel up to like doing another one near the end of the month, maybe we'll do another one. But let me get your take. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.